Welcome back again, class. This is Mr. Smith, and this is the optional lesson. If you're here, it's because you are interested in learning the modified man method. It's a method my teacher taught me, and I didn't come up with the name. He wasn't very good at naming things. And basically, this is the way I learned how to do this, and I find it a bit easier in some questions. Now that I've learned the Xbox method, I find that better. But I digress. The main thing for this is in your modified man method for the M, A, and N. We know this is B. For the A, it's just A times C. Kind of similar to what we did before. However, the different representation might help you out. There is one more step involved too that some students have some difficulty with, so I'm just giving you a warning ahead of time. For our first example here, we're just going to use the MAN method. Two times -2, we get -4 here. Adds to 3. And our numbers, if you recall from last lesson, were 4, -1. Alright, so setup is almost the same. That's basically the x just represented in a different manner. But now, you actually take your a value, and once you factor it, I will have 2x minus 1, 2x plus 4, all over 2. And the reason for this is because if you, in your equation ax squared plus bx plus c, when you factor it, you're going to end up with ax plus p ax plus q all over the a value. And all you do now is you have to take out some sort of common factor and then divide it by a. So what ends up happening is we take out a common factor of 2 from our second bracket here, and we end up with a 2. We have 2x minus 1 bracket x plus 2 all over 2. And what ends up happening is our x here, or our 2 here, gets canceled out with what we're dividing by, and we're left with just 2x minus 1 times x plus 2. And that's it. So sometimes that happens. I'll do the next example as well with you. So let's try it again. M, A, N. Remember, the M value is just the first number multiplied by the last number, the A times C, which is -60. Our A value is just the B value, which is 4. And if you remember from the last lesson, our numbers are just 10 and -6. So what you do is your A value, which is 4. So you put that next to x, and then you add p, which is one of the numbers. Then 4x again, plus q, which is -6, so we just subtract 6. And then you put all over 4, and you take out common factors until you can cancel out that denominator, if that's possible. We can take out a factor of 2 here, and we can take out a factor of 2 here. And 2 times 2 will give us 4. So we'll have 2 times 2 times, well, we take out our first common factor, 2x plus 5. Then we end up with 2x minus 3. This should start to look familiar, like our last lesson, over 4. Now, this 4 can't exactly cancel out. We can cancel this out. This becomes 2. And then we have a 2 left over. That cancels that out completely. And we're finally left with just our brackets, which is 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 3, which is the exact same answer we had before. Okay, let's go to the next example. So the first example of question 3 is where I think that this method is actually better than the Xbox method, but I think it's kind of a specific case where the B value is negative and A and C are both positive. I think that's the only case where I like this method more. Otherwise, I like the other method. Regardless, I think they're both viable. And if you like one method, stick to that one method. And I would strongly recommend sticking to one specific method and not doing both and flip-flopping between the two. Just get really proficient with the one method and then perhaps maybe focus on learning both. Okay, so same strategy. You're going to take out a common factor first. Here we have 2. And we rewrite it just like we did before. 5x squared minus 22x plus 8. Then we just factor it like we would with the MAN method. MAN, and we're just taking what's in the brackets. We're ignoring what's out of the brackets for now. That will come into play later. And we have 5 times 8, which is just 40, adds to negative 22. If you remember from before, it was negative 2, negative 20. So now we're going to do what we did before, except we're going to keep the 2 out in front. So we have 2, 5x, because it's our A value, minus 2. And then 5x minus 20. And then we're trying to cancel out 5 if we can, if at all possible. If not, don't worry. You should be able to, for all the examples I show you. We have 5x minus 20. Well, we can actually take out a factor of 5 here. And this works out really nicely because we have 2 times 5 now. Then 5x minus 2. Then x minus 4. All over 5. But we can cancel out these 5's because 5 divided by 5 is just 1. And then we're left with the exact same answer we had before. Oh, that's 2, not a 3. X minus 4. Perfect. All right, moving on to the next example. So this is a bit more writing, I find. However, I like this method because it just makes more sense to me, and it's really entirely up to you. Okay, let's work on the next one. We take out a factor of negative 10 first. And we're stuck with 8x squared plus 14 plus 3. 14x plus 3. Good. Okay, now I'm going to use the MAN method. Multiplication 8 times 3, 24. Adds to 14. So our two numbers are 2 and 12. Okay, and we basically just do what we did before. Keep the negative 10. Now we do 8x plus 2. And then again 8x plus 12. Now we need to try and pull out a factor of 8 if we can. We keep the negative 10 out in front. And we can pull out a factor of 2 here. I can pull out a factor of 4 here, which will multiply together and give us 8. So if you want to combine those two factors, you can in the next line. Just try not to do too much all at once. We end up with 4x plus 1 and 2x plus 6. All over 8. But this 8 cancels out. And we're left with the exact same answer we had before, minus 10, 4x plus 1, 2x plus 6. There we go. So that's the alternative method. And I like using this method. It is a lot more writing. As for what I prefer, jury's still out. I still sometimes will go back and forth. However, you guys should pick a method that works for you and makes the most sense to you, and then build off of that. All right, that should be enough for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.